Hello, class. Uh, Welcome to the online e-class lesson. Um, just before I get started, it's important to know that you need to watch this video for the entire time. So make sure that you do that so that you don't have any issues with being marked as attending or not. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Today is just talking about the syllabus. I'm just going to talk about the syllabus and schedule. It'll be kind of boring, but we have to do it. So let's go ahead and get through it. Before I get started, on e-class, I have put this syllabus document here. And as you're going through, as I'm going through this PPT here, if you want, you can try to answer these questions 2 through 11. It's just a way to help you kind of follow along with what I'm talking about. So you don't have to do it, but if you want, it can be helpful. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So here's my contact information. I'm in the Haywa building, but we're an online class, so maybe that doesn't really apply to us. I gave you my phone number, even though email is the best way to contact me. The reason I give the phone number is often, or not often, sometimes I may need to send a text message to the class. And the text message will usually be something like, "Hello, class, this is Jamie. I just sent you an email. Please go check your email." So that's the only reason I would text message, or you would get a text message from me. Okay. Now, as I said, email is the best way to contact me. But when you send me an email, you must have these 5 things. My name, and that's sort of a email courtesy or style. So you always write the person's name, just like when you're writing a letter, you write who the letter or email is for. Then your class day and time. Next is whatever your question or problem is, or whatever you want to write to me about. Some sort of goodbye statement like "have a nice day," and then your name. Now, this is important. If your email doesn't have the class date and time, I will not read your email. I will skip your email. Okay. And I know that seems like I'm being unfair or difficult, but the reason for this is because I have many students in different classes. So I need to know who is emailing me so that I can understand your question or problem. If you don't give me that information, then if you don't give me your class day and time, then it just makes it so that I have to send more emails and wait for students to respond, and it just makes everything more difficult. Also, this style of email, writing emails like this, this is actually a good skill to learn for when you get out of university and have to write emails for your future job. So this is good practice now. Anyways, I put an example email on this PPT, so it's very simple to follow, right? You can see my name, your name, class day and time, and then your problem or question, and then have a nice day, and then again your name. So again, if you're missing this information here, I will not respond to your email. So remember, I have many students, so I need to know which class, who you are and which class you are in so that I can better help you. Attendance. So for this class, if you miss 3 classes, it's an automatic fail. And this is if you miss classes for being sick or absent. For this class, we have 3 holidays, so those don't affect you. But if you miss class for being sick or if you have some other reason for missing class, if you do it 3 times, you automatically fail. It's not my rule, it's Dongguk's rule. And also, being late 3 times is the same as missing 1 class. So, try not to be late if you can avoid it. I will try to help you avoid this so it doesn't become a problem. And here are the reasons that Dongguk will allow you to miss class. And it also gives you the number of days that you can miss. I'm not going to go through this list because this PPT is on eClass, so you can come and look at this later rather than listen to me read through this list. Just the one important thing, 1 week after you miss class, you have to submit this document, the Yugo Kal Sak Injang Shinchangsa, right? You have to submit this to me. So you have to email me the PDF file of this, okay? So just make sure you do it 1 week after you miss class. So for example, if you missed, let's say today is Monday and you missed our class today, next week, I would need to get that PDF from you by next class, not next week, by next class, okay? Going the wrong way. And to get the PDF, or to get this document, these are the steps you need to go through. So you'll need to go into UDreams and then apply, and then they'll give you, once they approve it, they'll give you the Yugo Kyaosak Injung Shin Chungsa. Sorry, my Korean is terrible, but they'll give that after you apply, and then you just give it to me. So that's the important thing. Just make sure you also email it to me so that I can mark you as having an excused class. Okay. This doesn't really apply to us, so I'm just going to skip this. And this also doesn't apply to us, so I'm going to skip this as well. Class time. So my goal for this class is to finish with enough time. It says 4's students. Let me change that. Not 4's students. 4 students, sorry. Oh, 1 second, sorry. Bit too far. Oops. Okay, so my goal for this class is to try to finish with enough time for students to meet me or meet with me. And there's a few reasons for this. I know that sometimes students want to meet to talk about assignments or grades. So I like to make sure that there's time for that. And also, I know that some students may need or want more help, and maybe want some personal help, right? They may want to talk to me personally to get some help with class or whatever they're working on. I can also talk to you about applying to other universities or stuff like that. I don't know. I've had all sorts of questions, but I like to make time for that if students want to, reach out and get help from me. But also another reason is I know that you need time to get to your other classes. I know that sounds strange because this is an online class, but some students do have a class right after our class. So they still need time to, turn off their computer and then go to the next class. So I need to make sure that I try to make sure that you have time for that. Okay. Grades. So Donguk has changed the rule about grades. Unfortunately, now it's only 70%. Oops. Sorry, let me draw this clearer. All right. So now it's only 70% of students can get A's and B grades. So this is a new change. Unfortunately, Donguk didn't tell us about this until I think I want to say September 2nd. But that means some students will have to get a C to an F grade. Really, it's mostly going to be, from my experience, most students that have to deal with this get C grades. Um, if if you're not in the top 70%, most students will just get C grades. So as long as you do your work and attend class, this shouldn't be a problem. But so the real question then is, how many students can get an A or B grade? So I think we have, hold on a second. I think we have 14 students. Let me double check. Just a moment. So let's see, we have 15 students. Okay. Yeah, we have 15 students. So where is it? Okay. So if we have 15 students, I want to say, let me do some math here real quick. Let me pull up my calculator on my phone. So it looks like, I think 10 or 11 students. 10, oops. So let's try that again. Change my color here and make this bigger. Oops. So I think 10 to 11 students can get A or B grade. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about grades. Oh, that doesn't look good. How can I change the color here? I don't know if that's going to look good. All right. Okay, that's better. So 10 to 11 students can get an A or B grade. And I'm going to explain how I try to help everyone get the highest possible grades in just a moment. So anyways, about the grades, for the breakdown or the all the points for the class, there's a few different categories. There's class points, and these are the points you get for just coming to class. And I'll explain these in just a moment. There are conversation tests. Again, I'll explain these soon, but these aren't too difficult. Writings, Donguk says that we have, unfortunately, Donguk says we have to give students 4 writing assignments. So each writing assignment is 40 points each. And then there's the project. This is a group project, which I'll talk a little bit about today. And then finally, the midterm and final exams. So how many total points is that? So if you add it up, that's 150 plus 50 is 200, plus 160 is 360, plus 140 is 500. So that's 500, and then 250 plus 250 is another 500. So the total is 1,000. Well, 1,000 points. And I use this number just because it's easier to calculate. That's why everything's got all these points. Anyways, about grades. So I try to give my students the highest possible grades in my classes. So to do this, what I will do is I will look at the top students' real grade, and I will raise that grade to 100%. So I will add points to make them 100%. And then everyone else's grade will go up the same amount. So let me give you an example. Let's say the first student has 95%. So how many points is 95%? Well, in our class, since there are 1,000 points, 95% is 900, sorry, oops, is 950 points. Okay. So what I'll do to bring this 95% or 950 points up to 1,000 points is I will add 5% or 50 points, and that brings the first student or the top student up to 1,000 points. And then I'll take that same 5% and I'll add that again to the second student. So that brings them up to 98%. And I do that for all the other students. So what would that mean for the third student? So the third student's real grade is 92%. I add 5%, so that would bring them up to 97%, okay, or 970 points. All right. Class points. So for every class, there are 10 points. 5 points are for punctuality, which just means being on time. And I'm going to explain how I try to make this not so strict in my class. And I'll explain this in just a moment. 4 points are for participation and preparation. This is mostly just about working with your partners. So in this class, you'll use Kakao Talk groups to work with your partners, and I'll be watching those chats just to see that everyone is participating. And if I see some students are just not even checking the chat, I'll just start taking weight points. And that's because I feel it's rude to not help your partners. And I don't think it's that difficult to, talk with classmates. I think that's kind of the most enjoyable part of class is socializing and working together, working in teams and stuff. So that's the reason for those 4 points. Now, the last point is for engagement points. And engagement points are, you can earn engagement points. You can get an engagement point by answering questions correctly or well. And this last part here, when it says, what I mean by well is that if you answer a question, but your answer is incorrect, you can still get the engagement points if it appears that you have thought about your answer or you tried to give a really good answer. You tried to give an answer, right? So this is based on my judgment, but I can tell when students are just guessing to get the engagement point, or their answer is close, or it's a good guess, right? So if it's a good guess, I'll try to give you the engagement point, okay? And each student can only get one engagement point, or EP, for each class, because I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to get engagement points. Oh, cell phones. This doesn't really apply to our class, so I'm going to skip this. Being on time. So part of your class points, or 5 points of your class points, is for being on time. At the beginning of every class, I will take attendance. So I will go through the list of students and just see who is in class on our online class. But I don't want to, I want to try and I know students are busy, and I know that you can't, sometimes it's hard to get to class right at 3 o'clock. So I try to help students with this because I don't want to mark students late. So what I do is, if you get to class at 3 o'clock, 3:01, 3:02, 3:03, 3:04, 3:05, you're fine. You don't lose any points, okay? But after 5 minutes, you'll start losing points. So if you come to class at 3:06, it'll be -1 point. If you come at 3:07, it's -2. 3:08, it's -3. Okay, so it just keeps going from there. And after 10 minutes, you will be marked late. And just remember that being late 3 times is the same as missing class. And because of this, I try to, I try to help you with attendance, right? At first I only take away points, but after 10 minutes, that's pretty late, right? So, I want to make sure that everyone arrives to class at a good amount of time, so that we're not waiting on everybody, and so that we can hurry up and finish class, so we're not finishing class late and wasting other students' time. So yeah, just be aware of that. Homework. So for this class, as I told you, we have 4 writing assignments, and there's also a few other assignments you'll have to submit, but there's mostly 4 writing assignments. Those are the kind of the most important ones. And for this class, you'll have to email me your homework assignment. And if you happen to be late, if you happen to miss a class when a writing assignment is due, you will have to email it to me before the next class. So let's say, for example, this week's class, so this Monday Chuseok class, there was a writing assignment due, and for some reason you are sick, or your computer died or something like that, and you send me a text message saying I'm gonna miss class or whatever, or you send me an email on your phone and say I'm gonna miss class. That's fine. You still need to get a note, right, to tell me why you missed class, but you'll still need to email me the assignment before the next class. So I'll give you 1 week to email it to me. If you don't email it to me by the next by next week's class time, then your assignment would be marked as late. So if today is Monday's class and you missed Monday's class for some reason, and you didn't submit the assignment, you have until the next class to submit it. And if you don't submit it by the next class, the assignment will be marked as late. Okay. Um, book homework. So there is book homework in this class, but there is no grade for book homework. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but book homework is mostly just to help you study and prepare for tests. I'm going to explain this a little bit more later, but right now, all you need to know is that the book homework is just to help you study for the exams, not tests, for the exams. Conversation tests. So in this class, we will try to do what are called chat activities every class, or almost every class. And they're very short, simple conversations that you will have with your classmates. It's like 2 minutes long. And we do this every day to practice our speaking so that hopefully we can, improve our speaking and improve our speaking skills so that we can be more comfortable using English. And part of the way to motivate you to really try during these chat activities is with these conversation tests. So these tests will be very simple. It'll be almost exactly the same as the chat activity. The big difference is that it'll be 4 minutes long, not 2 minutes. You're going to talk to another student, and I'll be there watching your chat so that I can give you a grade. Now this says I will give you the topic. That's kind of true. You will have a choice about the topic, and I'll explain this later in the class, or not today, but I will explain this in a future class. But I do give you some choice for the topic. And these topics will be topics that we practice in class. So it won't be anything surprising or new. So you should be ready for it and should be able to do it, no problem. And also, these tests are a very small part of your grade. They're only 25 points. And there's a reason for that. And that's because I just want you to focus on trying to improve. I don't want you to worry about your grade, and I don't want you to be stressed about these tests. So that's the reason these are a small part of your grade. So they're very simple tests. And because we do these conversation tests, there is no speaking part for your midterm or final exam. Yeah. Anyways, the project. So for this class, I think we have 15 students. So groups will be 3 students. So there'll be 5 groups. And this says you're going to make a poster. That's not quite right because we're going to do this online. It'll be like I guess you'd say like a online poster. I don't know how to explain it, but it'll be some way of showing it almost, I guess you could say it's like a poster or a pamphlet. Anyways, I'll explain this more when we start working on the projects. Now there is a discussion as part of the project, but this is a very simple thing. And this is on the last day of class. I don't want you to worry about this because our class is not a speaking and presentation class. Our class is a writing class. So this discussion is very short and simple. There will be some questions. Each student will answer one question, and that's it. And it's not, these are more questions just to show me that you put some effort into your project and you thought about it, and you had some real ideas, or you had some real ideas and you actually tried. So it's very simple. It's very simple. Also, for the poster, I want to see that it should be kind of clear that all group members have worked on it in some way. And again, I'll explain this when we talk about the projects in a future class. And for your group, you'll be able to pick your group and your topic. So we'll figure that out when we start talking about the projects. The midterm and final tests, well, I should say exams, midterm and final exams. These will have similar question types. So both will have multiple choice, true, false, fill in, and short sentences. So when you have completed the midterm exam, so after you've had the midterm exam, you'll know what the final exam will look like. The question types or the style of questions used on the midterm exam will be the same as the final exam. So that will make the final exam easier for you because it won't be anything surprising or new. Now the questions will be on vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension, and writing skills. I mean, this will all be, on the midterm exam and the final exam, those will be different questions or different content, but again, there'll be similar styles. Now, about reading comprehension and also about vocabulary, we will not do reading and we will not really do vocabulary in class. So it is your responsibility to be prepared for the reading exam questions and the vocabulary exam questions. Now, there's sort of a reason for this. One, students have different reading speeds, and also reading comprehension. Reading is kind of the simplest skill for students. So there's not really a lot more that students can get from my class in terms of reading skills. What is actually kind of more important, or what I'm trying to push students to do, is what's called self-learning, which is, teaching yourself or learning how to teach yourself. And so to do this, well, I will explain it actually next class how we'll do it. But this is part of my goal is to help you prepare to be your own learner or be responsible for yourself. Because in your future job, you may have to do some learning on your own. And so this is a good time to start practicing with stuff that's pretty simple. And this is why I say the book homework is to help you prepare for the exam. It's not something we will not check the answers for the book homework in class. That is something that I'll show you how to do on your own time, but it's not something we will do in class because I think we can use our time better in class to focus more on writing and grammar and stuff that and speaking skills. But I think it's important to try and teach yourself or learn how to teach yourself. Now, if you do have questions about anything from book homework, of course, you can come talk to me at the end of class. That's why I try to make some time at the end of class so students can come and meet with me. Cheating and copying is bad. Don't do it. If I catch you cheating or copying, you'll get a 0. Especially with writing assignments, right? If you copy somebody else's writing assignment, you and the other person will both get a 0 because I don't know who cheated, right? I don't know who copied. So yeah, just don't do it so I don't have to give you a 0, okay? Final grades. So at the end of the semester or at the end of, in December, I often get emails from students saying, please change my grade. I worked really hard. here's what I tell students when they send me emails like this. All students in my class work really hard, and it's not fair to ask me to change your grade, or it's not fair for me to change your grade just because you asked me, right? If you want a high grade, you have to work for it, right? Um, that's the only fair way to do grades, okay? So to get an A or B grade in this class, come to every class and be on time. If you miss class, bring a note, right? Go to UDreams, get that note. Do all the work, of course, and then just work harder than other students, right? Try to get those engagement points. Work a little. Put some work into your writings and projects. That's where you're going to get most of your points is the projects and the writings. Um, I know students get busy during exam time, so um, midterms and final exams might be a little harder to study for when you've got other stuff to study for. So projects and writings are a good way to get a lot of points, and hopefully it doesn't take up too much of your time, or it's easier to accomplish getting high grades on those. Um, as for the PPTs, like this PPT, everything will be on eClass. Also, the videos for all of our lessons will be on eClass. So I will record all of our classes and put them on eClass. So you shouldn't miss anything. So check that out. And also, one thing that I suggest all students do is phone numbers, get phone numbers or Cacao IDs of other classmates. So that way you can text and message each other about homework and stuff. So I know today I'm not really able to do it because this is all a recording, but I'll try and make time for this next class so that you guys can exchange IDs, Cacao IDs or something. But it's very helpful to do this. Now, before we talk about the schedule, I'm gonna take a few minutes. Hold on a second. Okay. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes so that you can answer these questions. Maybe just take a moment on some paper somewhere and write down your answers. So yeah, I'll just take about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll try to check the answers to these. Okay, hopefully that was enough time. So let's go through the answers here. Email is the best way to contact me. If you miss 3 classes, you will fail. Sorry about that. That's Donggook's rule. And if you do miss it, please go get that document from Udreams. Um, uh, if you miss class, you won't get those class points, but can you bring a prescription? So a note from the Yakguk, can you email that to me to get those points back? Correct answer is an O. You need to get the document from Udreams. Do you have to do the book homework? So a lot of students think the answer is yes. The answer is no. Should you do the book homework? Yes, because that will help you study for the exam. How many points would you lose if you were 10 minutes late? Well, the correct answer here is 5, right? How many total engagement points can you get in each class? Well, the correct answer is 1. All right. And 70%, or I think this answer was 10 to 11. I have to double check on this. 10 to 11 students can get an A, I should say just A, to BO grade, right? Oh, this one we can just skip. I'll just put the answers in here. This doesn't really apply to our class. To pass this class, you should not be late, come to every class and be prepared. And this one's always a little tricky. Do all the work. I know that one's a little tricky. And for this one's also a little tricky, but the correct answer is to get an A or B grade, you must do the above and work harder than the other students. Okay. If you didn't get all those, don't worry. It's not a big deal. But I always give students this because these are kind of the most important pieces of information that students need for the class. Now, I also give you the schedule for the class. And the way to understand the schedule is over here, you have the class number and class date, right? So our first class was on September 5th. Our second class, September 12th, but that class is canceled because of Chuseok. So we are doing an E-class lesson, right? Now, in the middle here, in the middle here, you can see these are the sort of schedule. These are the schedule for each class. So what we'll be covering for each class. Now, a lot of students get confused because they see the class schedule here, and then over here they see the homework. And so the one thing you need to understand is over here on the right, these are the days that I assign the homework, okay? So if you remember from our first class, I said your homework is to get the book and get a notebook. Now you can see here on class 2, the assignment bring book and notebook is written there. So anytime you see this thick text like this, that's the day the assignment is due. So on class 4, for September 26th, I will give you the writing 1 assignment. So when is writing 1 due? Just take a moment and think about that. When is writing 1 due? Well, if you haven't figured it out, it's due here. Or sorry, it's due here. Submit writing 1. Okay. So yeah, so that's basically how it works. So you just look and see when I give you the assignments, and then you can look here in the middle to see when it is actually due. Now there is a problem. There is a mistake on this paper, or sorry, this schedule, and that's because what I want to show you next is that this schedule sometimes may change. Okay, so um, when you go to our class page on eClass, so this is our class page 115, right? You'll see the at the top where it says Gongji Sahang, right? You'll see all this stuff at the top. If you click on the syllabus and schedule, the first one, it will give you a link here, okay? And when you click on these links, it will take you to a page that looks like this, okay? This is what you'll see when you go there. Moment, a little slow. Okay, so sometimes what happens is, I'll make this bigger. I'll change that size a little bit more, actually. So sometimes what happens is I make a mistake, or I need to change something on the schedule, right? So when you click to the link, you'll see what the current schedule is. But if I make a change, you'll see that it'll show up. Oops. Let me see. Merge. Here we go. Okay. Oh no, wait, not there. Right here, merge. So writing 2 should go right there. So when you go back here and you open this again, you'll see that there it is, writing 2. So that's the day that I give you the writing 2 assignment, okay? And sometimes when I make a change, I'll even I'll put like a highlight. So you'll see something like this. I might highlight it in yellow just to show you there's a change. So when you go back here, you can see on your schedule, it'll look yellow. So this is a way to make sure that you always get the most recent schedule. So you can always find the correct information about the schedule. And that's pretty much it with the schedule. Yeah, that's about it. And the last thing I want to talk about, so if we go back to the main page, just a moment. Okay, so if you go back to the main page, you'll see there's this thing called shadow listening. And you can find this by going here to Gongji Sahang as well. So if you go to shadow listening, this is something that I give to all my students. It's sort of a guide on how to practice your listening skills. This is not something you have to do. This is something that you can do if you want. So you can go here, and this guide here, right here, this will show you how to do shadow listening. And shadow listening is something you can do. It takes about 30 minutes. You can do it 5 times a week. And over time, it will help your listening. So if it's something you feel that you need to do, I recommend checking it out. And you'll slowly over the 15 weeks we have together, you'll see that it can help you. And this guide here, this just shows you how to find more videos for shadow listening. Okay, so you don't really need this unless you want to find more videos. And that's it. Well, class, thank you for coming and watching our video lecture for today. I hope you have a safe and happy Chuseok, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.